Mike Moore Media.
In our studios, Jim Ivey at the Eden Historical Museum on Washington Street in Eden. And today we're talking about a very special project that you can take part in at RiverFest, and that is Friday and Saturday. So a very timely topic here for sure. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Doing great. Thank you, Mike.
Well, I know we've talked before about the Eden Historical Museum. What are your hours Saturday before we get into this other special
We're
project?
going to open Saturday from 10 till 4 or 4:30.
Okay. If you've never been to the Eden Historical Museum, what's the exact address of that?
656 Washington. We're right beside the house, the home.
Right beside.
Everybody goes downtown. They know that home, Dr. Ray's old home.
Dr. Ray's old home, Gene Harrington's residence there.
Right.
Please, while you're in town, go to the Eden Historical Museum and see that wonderful museum. It's going to surprise you and the things it has for this size community.
Mike, it never people who come in are always amazed, and I tell them when they come in the door, you're going to find something in here that is going to bring back a memory that has been deep in the recesses of your brain, and this object, the words, the picture, is going to bring that right to the forefront, and you're going to be surprised and happy and glad you came because of that.
Yeah. And isn't that exciting when you're there and these people that maybe lived here one time or their relatives did, or they have some connection maybe, and then a light bulb, bam, goes off and they say,
as a school teacher, that's what you always wanted to see. And I still feel like I'm doing some of that, but there's so much there. The ladies who put this together, Ms. Witten and her friends, have done a more than professional job, because I've had a guy who specializes, his hobby is to go to local museums all over the state.
Really? Okay.
On a weekend, he goes, visits a museum somewhere. Mm-hmm. And he said, this is the best small town museum he's ever been in. And he felt like it rivaled Museum of Natural History in Raleigh in terms of the quality of the displays.
Yeah.
I told him, thank you. I didn't have anything to do with that. I'm just trying to I'm a caretaker.
Well, you're doing a great job as caretaker. So please stop by the Eden Historical Museum. Take a little time for that when you're at RiverFest. And today we're talking about a project with the Eden Historical Museum and MARC, the Museum and Archives of Rockingham County, and the Dialogue Company, David Campt. And all of you are collaborating here for a living history station. It's in the next block, just a stone's throw from the museum at 705 Washington Street. What is this living history station about?
It's about memories. It's all about bringing back memories and recording memories and sharing memories as much as anything else. The museum is going to participate. We've got all those old bridal photographs, 11 by 14 color photographs. We have no clue who they are. One of them has been identified. We're trying to find that family. And if they want it, I will give it to them. Okay. Because we've proved who it is. And so you may know they were from the 70s or 80s. Mm-hmm. They're really, some of them are really nice color pictures. So they'll be on display. I'm trying to identify those. Some other pictures on display. We're going to be able to record actual sit-down conversations with people, or they can sit down by themselves if they don't speak into a microphone for 15, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Or if they've got younger family with them, they could sit down as a family and just talk about sharing these stories of the growing up in what I call olden days, my youth.
The good old days.
Because those people who worked in the mills or were associated with companies around the mills, or any of the little independent businesses that were here then, they're all gone. There's only one business, or two maybe, if you count Dyer's. But Paystone and Dyer's are the only two businesses that I know of that are still going that were going when I graduated from high school in 1964. Mm-hmm. Everything else has changed.
Yeah.
There's nobody here.
Well,
everybody's gone.
And Paystone you're mentioning there, and that's on the corner of Washington and Henry. That's across from the museum.
Right.
So,
yes.
but Paystone been there for a long, long time.
They discovered that they had a spot in their building that had been used as a mortuary at one time.
Yeah.
So, you never know what you'll find out in some of these old buildings. You start digging in the walls.
That's right, yeah. And then we've got the old hotel downtown.
It's coming to life again,
yeah,
yes.
A history lesson there for sure.
My mother and daddy is where they lived after they got married.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that, yeah, wow. And then you have a paper route or something that you...
Yeah, my paper route, I lived up on Early Avenue. I picked up my papers in downtown at the Exxon station, Esso station at the corner of... I guess it's Patrick and Washington Street. Mm-hmm. And so I had a route. I went through downtown, down Bridge Street, and back up, and I did that part of town. Mm-hmm. I didn't do Patrick and Hamilton Street. That was Lawrence Wilson and David Wilson did those two streets. Basically, they went down, picked up the papers, and walked home. They delivered the papers all the way home. Every other house was getting a newspaper.
Wow.
So it was a different time, different world.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to record the memories of that before it all disappears.
Oh, this is so important. So if you're listening and you are needed to come by, this is again at 705 Washington Street. They'll be set up there inside. That's actual Lavender's Blue Home and Body Boutique, and Kendra Grill will be set up across the street at the Barber Studios there for her business. So she's kind of turned it over to you all that day.
She took a lot of her inventory out, so
yeah.
we have space so we can move in. Mm-hmm. We have a tent also. We're out in the street.
So you'll be outside and inside.
Inside,
yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right, so you mentioned kind of finding who's in these old wedding photos, but you can also digitize your old photos there.
Yes, if anybody has old photographs and you want digital versions of them, we will have a scanner hooked to a computer, bring a flash drive and a photograph, and we should be able to scan it for you and into your flash drive. Mm-hmm. It's a high-quality scanner. It doesn't do anything but scan. And you can take a small negative and turn it into an 8x10 clean image photograph real easily with using this scanner.
Wow. Oh, wow. What a great opportunity that is. But you will, the main focus there is to have people come in and do an oral history, record your story.
Right.
It's your story. It's your story. It's nobody else's.
And I don't care from my standpoint whether it's all real accurate or not. Memory sometimes plays tricks on people. Yeah. I understand that. That's right. Okay. Mm-hmm. I like that because it's the sum total of all these conversations that will be true. Mm-hmm. Even if one may not have some misstatement in it. I do that. So, everybody does at some point in time. But I don't want anybody to feel like they have to be accurate or,
No exact dates.
I'm looking for little anecdotal stories about growing up. I've had a guy in the museum, two brothers who came in that used to live over on Dameron and Davis Street, I think the name it is, out behind Cox's, where Cox's food store was. Mm-hmm. They're across the hill from the mills. And they talked about the city bringing a cart by on a trailer, hooking up to the hydrant, and the cart had these spouts on it like a shower, and they could turn it on and spray water over a whole area like a play pad almost, and the kids would come from all over the neighborhood and play in this water fountain thing that they were calling around. They'd run it for like 30 minutes, and then they'd shut it down, go take it somewhere else. I was here when that was going on, and I do not remember that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that was in 1977. They were talking about it being done.
Years before we had the splash pad at Freedom Park.
Right, right. It was mobile. Right. The city was bringing it to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where is that now? Surely somebody else remembers the story, Mm-hmm. I would just love to know more about it. Who had the idea? Was this something brought up and dreamed up in Eden? And was it everywhere? Do other towns have the same thing? I don't know. Mm-hmm. And those are the things, if people that are in your memories, that we need to record or find out.
Yeah. It's important that we record these and have a record, isn't it?
Yes. My memory is starting to go. I remember some things better than others, obviously. But as a historian, I majored in history in college, American and Russian history. And we studied the famous people. the shakers and the movers and the rich. But they all depended on the normal, ordinary guy working in the mill, working in the shop, or doing whatever. He was the one who created the wealth, who created the situation, allowed these other people to do the famous things that they did.
Yeah.
And they are forgotten. Sometimes people talk about, well, the mill worker's this, and they're sort of lumped into one huge category. And yet each person then, their identity is lost. And to me, that's sort of bothersome. I don't want that identity lost if I can help it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like I was saying a moment ago, everyone has their own individual personal story.
Yes.
Nobody else has that story.
No, correct.
Yeah.
And I really want to hear 4 people talking about the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Again, this living history station set up inside and outside at 705 Washington Street. And that will be during RiverFest, and your hours are Friday and Saturday. What at that?
Okay, we're going to open 10:30 to probably 4:30 on Saturday, and we're going to be open 5 to 7 on Friday.
Okay, all right.
2 hours on Friday and 6 or 8 hours on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
We're also going to be having we're selling old historic T-shirts that were in the museum inventory. Mm-hmm. That were bought when it opened. So they're almost already antique. But the airport, they're mostly airport T-shirts. I got 1 or 2 about the alligator. Anybody knows the alligator story in Draper, you're going to run up and grab that shirt before we sell it to somebody else. But we're selling them for $5 a piece.
Okay.
Because we just need to clear some space, and we need more room to put stuff in the museum.
Yeah.
Storage.
This is an important week. It was actually this week that Leaksville, Spray, and Draper came together as Eden, 1967. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, September 12th. The vote.
I was in college.
Yeah, I wasn't here then. That was 5 years before I got to Eden. But the history behind that, and I did a little homework on that the other day, Jim, and looking at how many people voted for, how many people voted against. And only about 700 and some people chose the name Eden.
Right.
You know, I mean, there were all kinds of names out there.
There was Eden,
crazy
there was Leaksville Spray.
Yeah.
The choices people had, they gave like 4 choices on the ballot.
Oh, did they? Okay.
And one was Leaksville Spray, hyphenated. Of course, nobody in Draper would ever vote for that.
No.
Twin Rivers was one of the names
I
remember being on it.
Okay.
Eden was one. But the big one, the write-in vote, was for, this is in 1967, remember the time frame, was for LSD.
Right, LSD.
But that didn't win. Eden won by a slim majority.
Yeah, oh wow. And I remember one of the write-ins, maybe more than once, was Splashy. I remember seeing that somewhere along the way.
That was the old name of Spray.
Yeah, the old canal, yeah, wow. Okay, well, we don't want this, the history of our area, your relatives, we don't want this lost, so please come by 705 Washington Street, the MARC, Museum and Archives of Rockingham County, David Campt at the Dialogue Company, and Jim with the Eden Historical Museum, all coming together to make this happen on Friday and Saturday.
Hopefully, if anybody wants to help do some of this and can come by and you can walk right in, we'll put you to work.
Yeah, okay.
But we're trying it. We really want to see how this works. We hope people will show up. I know there's a reluctance to talk sometimes. I understand that. So if they're reluctant to talk now, maybe they will do later in a less crowded environment. Mm-hmm. We can do it one-on-one. I'll actually do it like you do sometimes over the phone if they want to.
Okay.
Or I'll just give them a recorder and they can take it home and talk into it and bring it back to me.
At their own
So there's a lot of ways to do this.
Yeah.
And don't want to say if you can't come to the museum or the station at RiverFest and you've got ideas and you want to share them, we'll still find a way. Just contact me at the museum. Okay,
that's great. We want to make that happen for now and for generations to come. You can go on Facebook, find out more about the Eden Historical Museum there. David Campt actually has a short video explaining everything we're talking about on his Facebook page, and I shared that on the Mike Moore Media Facebook page this morning too. Hope to see you. Please come out and participate in this special event at RiverFest on Friday and Saturday.